We are live.
Live. Hello,
Live and
everybody.
direct. Hello, Podfeet. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. We got a good
Excellent.
show tonight. I'm excited.
Yes.
Oh, you found him on Twitter too? Hey, Steve would like to find him on Twitter.
Oh, gosh, yes. So today I find out that I was, what was the terminology? Permanently suspended on Twitter. And I'm thinking, I don't think I've tweeted anything that breaks the Twitter rules. So I went back to, well, there is a way you can appeal. And then they also say, here are the rules for Twitter. So I went there and checked all their rules for what you could have done. And I don't think I did any of those in my tweets. My tweets tend to be pretty, it's like Allison's video interview at CES, that type of thing. So come to find out, I may have been bitten by the Mac Twitter app.
Oh, we were going to make it fun first to show them what we saw, what you saw.
What I saw?
Let's see. People. You're like not even listed, Steve. If you look for SP Sheridan,
Really?
you're not
You
not
can't
even
find
there.
me now.
No, I think I found you as linking to me. Yeah, so X decided that they didn't want to have a Mac app anymore. So they discontinued the Mac app. And if you wanted an app, the only thing you could do is if you had an Apple Silicon Mac, you could download the Catalyst version for iPad. So, Steve, I assume that's what you did do that?
Well, I didn't. I just went on the App Store. It said, download this app.
Wait, what do you mean it said?
The Twitter client came up and said, this is no longer functioning.
Okay.
Go download this app. It told me to go download it. I went to the App Store. I downloaded the new app, which is now the X app. And it didn't even point out that it was an iPad app, is what you said?
Yeah, well, you would have seen
Electron?
it if in the top. It's not Electron. It's in the App Store. It'll show this is for iPad only, but they let you do it.
So it shows up in the Mac App Store as that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Okay.
It's in the App Store, but it's redirecting you to the. It's in the Mac App Store, but it's redirecting you to the regular App Store for iOS.
Okay, so that was not evident to me. I just went ahead and installed it, not even recognizing that fact. And
It was what you were supposed to do.
What?
It was what you were supposed to do. You didn't do anything wrong.
So what is the...
So there was a bug, and it banned people. And Twitter thinks they have it fixed now, but they asked if anybody's still suspended to let them know. And so I'm going to go online and report that Steve is banned and shouldn't have been.
Why can't I do that?
Because you can't go on Twitter.
Oh,
How are you
have
going
to
to
do
report
it through
yourself?
the Twitter app. You
No,
can't
you
do
can't
it
get it. It's on Twitter. You have to report it on Twitter.
on the Twitter app. Okay.
I didn't say the Twitter app. I said on
Could
Twitter.
I do it? So I couldn't do it online because my account's suspended. I can't even write them a message.
Can somebody explain that to him? If you can't get on Twitter, how are you going to tell them on Twitter?
Well, I'm on Twitter right now. I'm looking at it. You're saying I can't send. Okay. Oh, I just got another message. This app is out of date. Update now. That's what I thought I did.
Okay, there we go. Update now. Let's see.
Oh, so maybe it's giving me
Do it. Do it right now. We got to know.
Oops, something went wrong. Please try again later.
Okay,
That's not
so it's
helping
not you, Steve.
But I'm on Twitter. It's just that I can't post.
You're not
I
on
think.
Twitter. You're looking at a website where you're not logged in.
Okay, I'm running an app. This is not the website. This is the app. I guess the iOS app. I'm running it, but it does say I can't post.
Right, because you're banned.
Well, it says suspended. But
Oh my God, Steve! You don't know how many conversations a week we have that are just like this.
But now it says unlock more posts by subscribing.
So log in.
I'm logged in. It wants me to pay.
Oh my God!
Subscribe means to pay, right? I
don't
have
know.
the free account.
I don't even use the app. Okay, I may have to just cut him off. I can't mute you, can I?
No, but I can. Why don't you just keep going with the show?
Okay, well, let us know. Give us an hourly
I will.
update.
If I get a change, I'll let you know.
Buy more Teslas, Ed says. Yeah, if we were just Nazis, he wouldn't have gotten banned. Hey, nobody told me to do a roll call. Maybe they did. We've got Kevin and Doc Tim and Frank and Mike and Ed and John and Sandy and SP Sheridan. That I don't know. I may ban him. We'll see how that all works out for him. Anybody else? So watch out. It's changing over there. Maybe he's trying to get back in. All right, let's go ahead and start the show. Here we go. Scooch in a little bit closer. Hey, Jill, my key light air came on. Here we go. Where did Jill go? I don't know. She's in the sidebar asleep. All right. Well, somebody tell her I'm very excited about my light. Here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, August 4th, 2024, and this is show number 1004. Well, that's a lot of fours in one show introduction. And guess what? 4 is our daughter Lindsay's favorite number. And you know what else? Today is her birthday. Happy birthday, Lindsay, the daughter. Well, Steve and I are getting really excited about our upcoming trip to Africa. We leave this coming Saturday, the 10th of August. That means I need to get next week's show out early. I'm shooting for Wednesday, but definitely no later than Thursday. That means there will be no live show on Sunday, and it means there will be no live show until September 8th. I know, it's a really long time. I'm going to miss you guys. Well, if you want to go to podfeed.com/chat on Sunday nights each week at 5 p.m. Pacific time, there's nothing to stop you. You know, you can still do that and hang out. According to Kevin, I'm just that annoying woman in the corner anyway, so feel free to hang out enjoy each other's company while we're gone. Now, we have gotten a couple of contributions of audio and associated text for the shows. Thank you, Mr. Ed. And they're great. But remember, if you want to help out Jill, Alistair, and Bart, please send your files to me at allison@podfeed.com as soon as you can, no later than Wednesday, August 7th, to be sure I can forward those recordings on to them. All right. Can you put a picture of yourself in front of the camera? Yeah, just, well, Kevin can just keep posting that. All right. What are you doing to your mic there, Steve?
I had to move it.
Oh, okay. So do you guys know who the first listener of the NosillaCast was?
I know.
Do you?
Uh-huh. Oh, by the way, your post on the Mac Power users with, I won't say whom, has some extra hashtags in front of it.
Yeah, I fixed that, but thank you. Yeah. Oh, was Steve the first? Actually, that's a good question. Were you?
Yeah, I think I was.
Are you sure you listened to the first episode?
Oh, yeah.
I probably asked you to.
Oh, yeah. You think I wouldn't?
I don't know. I was always amazed that you ever listened.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, you have to listen to me all day, every day. All right. Here we go. As you all know, I started the podcast on May 13th of 2005. Exactly 1 week later, I attended the All Things Digital conference put on by Walter Mossberg of the Wall Street Journal. For the first session of the day, I raced down the aisle to get a good seat in the very front row. As I tend to do, I started chatting with the person next to me. That person was David Roth. David is an Apple fan extraordinaire, and he became one of my very first podcast listeners, if not possibly the very first. Now, David and his lovely wife, Jennifer, have become very close friends of Steve and mine over the years, and they even let us swim in their pool with their 2 golden retrievers at their home in the Houston area. Now, David is a lawyer, which is not a very friendly environment for an Apple fan, but he's managed to wrap his job around using Apple products anyway. Now, you've heard me talk about David hundreds of times. Usually I make fun of the fact that he doesn't like it when I do math on the show, but the reason I'm telling you all of this now is that he is the latest guest on the Mac Power Users podcast. He joined David Sparks and Stephen Hackett to talk about how he uses the app Note Plan to organize his work life. Maybe his home life, too. I haven't heard the whole episode, though, because it only dropped a couple of hours before showtime, so I've only just had time to start listening to it, but what I heard was already great. Now, even though it feels a little bit like he's cheating on me by being on somebody else's show, I hope you'll check out Mac Power Users number 756, Exploring Note Plan with David Roth. Oh, you listened to it, Bruce? Cool. David's the best.
So Bruce, by the way, made it on board. I think Bruce was having a little trouble last time getting on the Discord.
Bruce used the data?
No, this isn't.
Oh, this isn't Bruce using the data.
This is a different Bruce.
This
is Bruce AL.
Is this Bruce Hatherley?
I'm not sure which Bruce, but I believe Bruce is new to our chat room. Bruce
Well,
E.
that's exciting.
Welcome, Bruce.
Bruce E. It was. Okay. So you're new here? Hello. Welcome. Look out
Next
for Kevin. He just said, oh, that's great. That's great. Did we talk at Woodstock? Macstock? Because my memory is poor.
We did.
We did. I'll have to go. Did I take a selfie with you? That's what I like to do is take selfies with people with them holding their badges up so I can write their names down. And that gives me a 14% chance of remembering that I talked to them. Yeah, don't believe anything Kevin says. Okay. Oh, that's not it. There are so many.
Sat next to Pilot Pete in the back.
Oh. Bruce, I'm so glad you told me that because I was putting names on the photo.
Yes.
No. I think you're one of the people I was like, oh, shoot, I know that guy. What was his name? Now I got to go back and check. But where is this thing I'm looking for? Contacts. There it is. All right. 16. Oh, Pilot Pete, that's a bad influence right there. All right, now I've got to, put a note here. Bruce E. next to Pilot Pete. It's funny, I remember you because of where you were sitting. I'm so good at this. All right, I'm going to start back up, Steve. While I was at Macstock Conference and Expo, a lovely gentleman named Bob asked the table for advice on how to clean up his contacts. He explained that he had a few things he wanted to fix. The first was that when he chose the Resolve Duplicates option, it showed that he had over 500 duplicates. He wanted to click that button, but it kind of gave him pause. The second problem was that he has many contacts from his previous employment. He doesn't want to lose those contacts forever, but he also doesn't want them cluttering up his personal contacts file. Finally, he has many contacts who have passed away. He definitely doesn't want to lose that contact information, but he also doesn't want to face them daily in his contacts. While I've been working on the instruction to help him clean things up, I happen to hear the folks on the Accidental Tech podcast talking about how maybe we should have an archive option in contacts and maybe a deceased date field so we wouldn't be reminded, say, to wish someone a happy birthday when they're gone. Sounds like a lot of people would like to solve the same problems Bob is experiencing. Now, I've written up a series of steps that will ensure he preserves the history and gives him what I think is the easiest way to clean up his contacts. At least it's the easiest way I can think up. I had a whole set of instructions done earlier that were way harder, so these are at least easier than what I came up with at first. Now, he's still going to have to do some tedious work, but my solution is not technically difficult. I thought I'd share the solution with the audience. The very first step in this process must be always back up your contacts first. In Contacts on the Mac, select File, Export, Contacts, Archive. Now this is going to save a file in the format, with the extension .abbu. Now put this file in a safe place and then make up a backup of that. Only after you've done that backup, you want to start verifying that you're only using iCloud. It's not uncommon for people to end up with some contacts in iCloud and some that only live on your Mac. Before cleaning things up, I would ensure everything is only in iCloud. I suppose it could also only be on the Mac, but I prefer them in iCloud. Now, I recently helped someone with a crazy number of duplicates, and it turned out he had the same person multiple times in both iCloud and on his Mac, and that's why you want to make sure. So if you don't use iCloud for your contacts, you can skip this step. But if you do, open Contacts on your Mac and select the On My Mac section. If it's empty, you're golden. If there are any contacts in there, drag them to the cloud section, the iCloud section, and then delete them from On My Mac. Now, this might create even more duplicates, but we'll get to that soon. There's no danger in doing this step because you did back up contacts first, right? All right, to prevent contacts from getting added locally to On My Mac, in Contacts, open Settings, General, and the Default Account, and make sure it's set only to iCloud for the future. Now, we're ready to attack those duplicates. In Contacts on your Mac, go to the Card menu and choose Look for Duplicates. You'll be told some number of duplicates have been found with an offer to merge them. Select Merge. Now, this is scary, but remember, you did back up your contacts first, right? Now, believe it or not, after it's complete, again, choose card, look for duplicates. In my experience, it's quite likely that it'll tell you there are more duplicates to resolve. Now, I know that makes no sense, but keep repeating this step until context finally tells you there are no more duplicates. As your next step, I would suggest creating some lists to categorize your contacts. Apple used to call these groups, and in fact, you'll run across references to groups throughout the Contacts app that they never bothered to call lists, but they're really the same thing, so they just haven't cleaned up the app. Now, the list categories that would make sense for Bob to create would be deceased, keepers, and old work. If you already have lists in your contacts, I'd suggest putting an underscore at the beginning of those three names so they sort up at the top, because you're going to want to be able to get to them quickly because you're going to be using them a lot. Now, as a side note about lists, it's important to remember that contacts can be in more than one list. For example, I have a list called Family and another one called Christmas Cards, and my family members are in both lists. So to create a list, go to File, New List in the menu bar. This will create an untitled list in the sidebar waiting to be renamed. As soon as you rename the list, you'll be taken into this empty list. Now you're going to go through your contacts one by one and drag them into one of these three lists. This kind of process is tedious, but it's the most important step to be sure you preserve your contacts the way you want them. One thing that makes this process difficult is it's hard to remember which names you've dragged into these lists. When you look at all contacts, they're all going to still be there. But I have a trick that will make it easier and will allow you to see your progress. I would suggest creating a smart list that contains only those contacts you have not yet triaged into one of the three folders. In the File menu, choose New Smart List. This will open a window inviting you to name your new smart list. I suggest naming it something like Not Triaged. Below the name, you're going to see a drop-down that says Card and one that says Contains, and there'll be an empty field next to that. Change the Contains drop-down to Is Not a Member of. This will trigger a third drop-down to be displayed, which will be blank, but in the drop-down, you can choose, for example, underscore deceased. Tap the plus button to the right of the drop-downs to add another condition to our smart list. Repeat the steps and this time set it to Card is not a member of underscore keepers. Add another condition and set it to Card is not a member of underscore old work. Once you're done, you'll notice that a new line was inserted below the smart list name that says Contain cards which match. Nope. Once you're done, drink. Thank you, Kevin. When you're done, you'll notice a new line was inserted below the smart list name that says Contain cards which match any of the following conditions. That drop-down can be changed, but we want to leave it at any. This will create a smart list that will only be contacts that are not in any of the three lists. When you hit OK, the smart list not triaged will show at the bottom of all the other lists under Smart Lists. Before you start the hard work of moving your contacts into one of these lists, I suggest scrolling to the bottom of your Not Triaged Smart List to see how many total contacts you have to triage. Knowing this number at the beginning of the project can help kind of scope out the work. It'll be helpful to set up reasonable goals on a project like this. So let's say you have 1,000 contacts in Not Triaged just to start. You could set a goal of triaging maybe 50 contacts each day, and that way you wouldn't lose your mind. You could create a recurring reminder to just triage 50 contacts a day, and in 3 weeks you'd be done. If you did more than 50, you'd be ahead of the game, and you could take a day off now and then. And personally, I'd probably create a nice little numbers spreadsheet where I recorded each day's total left in Not Triaged and then graph my progress, but that's me. I should mention that if you drag a contact into the wrong list, you can select the card in the incorrect list and hit the delete key. You'll get a prompt where the default is to just remove from list so it doesn't delete the entire contact. When you're triaging, you may also find contacts that you don't need anymore at all, and you can use the delete button to truly delete them. Hey, Steve, can you do a search for contains cards which match? Let me put it in here for you. This is why I stuttered when I did that thing, is I have two quotes. Look for that string. There shouldn't be a quote before the word any.
Where you? Oh,
Or
you put it in.
I pasted it in there.
Discord.
That's what you want to look for. Or get rid of the quote
You have
before
a
contains.
quote in the beginning, and so your quote numbers don't match. Is that
Right. So maybe get rid of the one before contains.
okay?
Either way, there shouldn't be 3. That's why I stuttered and did the accent on the wrong syllable there. Or you could let Sandy tell you which one it should be.
It's not copying from there. Well, let me just.
All right. Now that you've spent a couple of weeks triaging your contacts, it's finally time to clean things up. Select one of the lists you no longer want to keep in your contacts database, but want to keep for posterity. Let's say it's the old work list. There are a few ways to export contact cards from contacts. You could select all of the contacts in this one smart list, and then from the menu bar choose File, Export, Export vCard. This will create one vCard file with extension .vcf with all of the contacts smashed into that one vCard. Now, I don't think this is a good option because to bring back one contact or even view just one contact, you'd have to bring them all back in. So let's abandon that whole path. The second option is to choose File, Export, Contact Archive. Unfortunately, even though you've just chosen this smart list and just the contacts inside this smart list, near as I can figure, the contacts archive is your entire contacts library. I tested exporting contacts archive from a 3-person smart list and again from all contacts, and both archive files were about the same size of 45.8 megabytes. There's no way 3 contacts would take up 45.8 megabytes, so that's also not a good option. A better method to export these folks you don't need in your contacts is, believe it or not, to send them into an Apple Numbers file. Now, believe it or not, again, this is one of the ways Apple recommend you export contacts, but it's pretty clumsy in my opinion. I assumed they'd have an export to CSV, comma-separated values file for import into any spreadsheet program, but I was surprised to learn this option does not exist. Here's how Apple suggests you export contacts to Numbers. You open Numbers to a blank spreadsheet so you can see numbers and contacts at the same time. Over in Contacts, select the Smart List and select all in the list using Command A, or you could go to the menu and choose Edit, Select All. Now, drag all of the selected contacts from the Contacts app into the Numbers spreadsheet and let go. Doesn't matter where in the spreadsheet you drop the contacts, Numbers will sort it out very nicely. Now, when you let go of the contacts, Numbers will auto-create column headings for each of the fields that were in the original contacts and drop in the contacts below those headings. In the mini example I created with 3 of my imaginary friends, the titles of the columns are the superset of what information was in my imaginary contacts. I had an image in one, last name, first name, home, and work email, so those are all of the columns imported into Numbers. I also tested this on my personal list of over 1,200 contacts, and the columns went all the way out to GD. It starts out at A1. It was GD, it starts out at A. And so I asked ChatGPT to do the math for me to figure out GD is out 186 columns. Hopefully you'll have a manageable number of columns when you do your export. I want to make one comment about the exported images in the first column of the Numbers spreadsheet. I'm really glad that Apple preserves the image in the export, but it's rather hard to extract that image out of Numbers. It's wee tiny by default, but you can view the full-size image by stretching the column width and the row height for that given image. Even though you can see it in large form, you can't copy the image out of Numbers, or I should say, I can't figure out how to do it. I tried to right-click and copy, I tried copy snapshot, which was another option, and yet nothing copied into my clipboard. I was unable to drag the image out either because dragging just started to select more rows and columns. The best advice I can give if you really want that image is to embiggen the image as much as you can by increasing the size of the cell and then take a screenshot of the image and save it. In any case, you now have a handy-dandy spreadsheet of all your former work colleagues and it's outside of your contacts. Now, option 4 to export is to export to PDF, which is easier and might be all you need. The format of the PDF is a little bit cramped, but it's not terrible. It has a super wide column for the person's name, and then a very narrow column that contains their physical and email addresses, websites, and any notes you may have put in their contact card. The final column is for phone numbers, but it truncates any custom names you may have created for any other numbers. The column is exactly the width of the word iPhone and no wider. Luckily, the phone numbers don't get truncated, even if they do have an extension listed, but that tricky custom name might get truncated. Now, this is a searchable PDF, and it even supports data detectors, such as if you hover over an address, it will give you a downward chevron that, when clicked, will show you the address on a map. However, the images aren't expandable or retrievable in a bigger format. Now, overall, this might be the simplest way to keep a list of former colleagues for future reference. All right, so now we've triaged all the contacts and we've moved them all into either a PDF or a number spreadsheet, whichever you like better. It's time to delete unwanted contact. And this is scary, but let me ask you one more time. You did create a backup of your entire contacts database, right? So do not delete the list first, or you'll undo all the hard work you did triaging into this list. So open the regular list for old work, select every card in this list, and hit the delete key. As I explained earlier, you'll be prompted first to remove from list, or this time we actually want to hit delete. Once you've deleted all of the contacts in the list, now you can delete the list itself. Okay, I've noticed two more typos. If you see right above that screenshot, Steve.
Which one? The remove from list screenshot?
Yeah, right above that it says everything turned out to be. This may be hard for you to do. Everything's italics, so I think there's probably an underscore below before. Can I explain?
Okay.
I believe there's probably an underscore before old work.
Yeah, and then you have another underscore before now on the last sentence.
Yeah, there should be one before now. That one's supposed to be there.
Okay. Oh, because you want that italicized.
Right, but I think, I know what it is. So old work, remember I said name it underscore old work? That's why it did that. Just change it to old work. And then...
What do you mean just change it to old work?
So just get rid of the underscore before old work.
Okay.
And there's one other thing. Look at, do you have that one done?
No.
You haven't deleted the underscore? You still looking for it?
Yeah.
I mean, I can do this if you want.
I found the old works, but I'm not finding the first. Okay, before keepers, I see it.
Before, what do you mean before keepers? All you had to do was get rid of the one before old work.
Oh, just that one. Okay.
Yeah.
So you want everything italicized before that.
What? Okay, let me make a note. I'm gonna have to look at this because I don't know what you're doing now. I'll make 2 notes. And the other one is step 4. Okay. Where am I now?
Oh, I see it. Wait.
You see what?
I was on the wrong old work. Okay. You had a couple old works.
Yeah, I said the one right before that screenshot.
Yeah. The screenshots don't show up in the edits. That's why I got lost there. When I'm editing, I can't.
Okay, have you got it?
Screenshots. That one I do.
Okay. The other one was, if you look at option 4 to export is one of the titles, right? The first sentence there says the third option, and it should have been 4th.
What are the words, the third option?
Yeah, the third option is to export to PDF.
And it should be 4th?
Yeah, I'll copy it into the chat room here so you can see it.
Got it.
Okay.
All right. I think that's good.
All right. We deleted contacts. All right. If you discover that you've made a terrible mistake and deleted someone you didn't mean to delete, there is no recently deleted as there is in applications like Photos. However, if you use iCloud, you can restore your entire contacts database back to an earlier date. Apple explained in a support article that you can log into iCloud.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and choose Data Recovery. This opens a page offering to restore files, bookmarks, contacts, and calendars. I chose contacts, and I was shown a list of 10 archives with the dates of the archives. The page explains, when you restore to a new archive of contacts, the archive of contacts you select will replace contacts on all of your devices. Your current contacts will be archived so you can get them back if needed. Now, we already made our own backup, but just in case, there is that secondary backup you can get to at iCloud.com. Now, the bottom line is this is a big task, but it's probably a task we should all consider doing to clean up our digital lives. I highly encourage you to follow my advice to set a daily or weekly goal of how many contacts to triage so you don't give up on the task and never finish. And don't forget to export a backup of your contacts first. Good luck to Bob, and I hope you keep me posted on how all of this works for you. There. All right, so I'm going to close. And can you save, and I'm going to refresh?
Save the post?
Yeah, save the post. Tell me when you've done it.
Update.
And I've saved here. Did you save?
Okay.
Did you save?
Yes. Okay. Done.
Okay. Okay. I just want to take a look and see how that italics looked. Maybe that's why I stopped using saying underscore in that.
Didn't seem to fix it.
No, it looks good to me.
Okay.
The italics? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you did it just exactly
I
right.
didn't update. I probably have to do a hard refresh.
All right. Have I missed anything fun in the chat room? It looks like people are just paying attention or something.
Yeah.
That's weird. All right. Where am I now? This is fun. I should bring this over here to show it to you.
Fallen asleep.
Let me guess. Kevin?
No. Who else might you guess?
John.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Oh, and you're writing up show notes and markdown. Yeah, Jill's got work to do. Quit paying attention and do that work, Jill. Let me get my show and tell. I take my headphones off. All right, does anybody know what this is?
Yes.
Steven.
I think you use that for target practice when you're blowing bubbles.
All right. There's a whole lot more in my feed now because people like Jill and Alistair have been. Oh, you read the blog post too. Jill and Alistair have been doing work ahead of time, so there's blog posts I don't know about yet. It's very exciting. All right, here we go. Nope. Have you ever wanted to demonstrate something you're doing with your hands in a video? For example, Mark Lorwald and I were trading videos back and forth, trying to troubleshoot a problem he was having with a memory card and different adapters that he was plugging into his new iPad Pro. It was quite the feat while holding the phone with one hand to record, while also then single-handedly inserting the memory card adapter and unplugging it again without ever dropping anything. Another example is that I want to learn how to knit socks, and Jill from the North Woods says she'll teach me. We live a few thousand miles apart, so we've been trying to figure out how she could somehow watch me knit from her house over a video call and tell me what I'm doing wrong. But how do I hold the phone to record an over-the-shoulder view while also knitting? I don't do a lot of product demo videos, but when I do, it's really hard to show something while holding a phone steady to record. A few months ago, Pat Dengler wanted to show off a little box she'd made with her 3D printer. Rather than just take photos of it to send to me, or to try to show the little compartments in a video while clumsily holding the phone in her other hand, she put on her Meta Ray-Ban glasses and made a fabulous over-the-shoulder video to show off her creation. I've been really quite impressed with the photos and videos Pat has been able to capture with the Ray-Bans, but I'm not interested in dropping $350, not counting putting a prescription in it, on a pair for myself. This did get me thinking about how there must be a solution to creating over-the-shoulder videos without spending much money. What I wanted was some way to hold a phone, maybe around my neck, but pointing the camera lens away from me. I tootled off to Amazon, typed in some random search terms, and I immediately found the solution. Clearly, I was not the first person to think this product should exist, because a whole pile of companies sell products that go around your neck and hold your phone in a magnetic mount. The one I chose is from the company Amorous, Amorus. It's called the Amorous Neck Holder Hands-Free Magnetic Phone Chest Mount for the grand sum of $23. The basics of the design are a bendable metal band that goes around your neck and then joins to the phone mount at your chest. The metal band is covered in a velvety soft rubber of your choice of boring gray, classic blue, or the flaming orange color I chose. When I opened the package, I gleefully tried to put the loop over my big noggin, but it didn't fit. I noticed a prominent and easy-to-push button on the side of the piece that sits on your chest. When depressed, one end of the loop slides out nicely to allow you to put it around your neck. It makes a very satisfying click. Let's see if I can do it for you here. Whoop. Wasn't that satisfying? It makes a satisfying click when it's reset into the chest piece. It feels really well made, very, very solid. The piece that sits on your chest is a soft, rubbery lozenge that takes away any worry of this being uncomfortable to wear for an extended period. On the piece that sits on your chest, there's a substantial magnetic ring suspended on a series of 3 articulated joints. The joints are fairly stiff to rotate because you don't want your phone, flooping around or slowly rotating by gravity while you're trying to record a video. The joints each rotate about 180 degrees, which means you have a lot of flexibility in how your phone gets positioned for recording. With my iPhone mounted via MagSafe to the Amorous's magnetic mount, the phone is only about 4 inches away from the tip of my nose. It's comfortable, and with some work on the stiff joints, I can angle the phone until my hands are clearly in the field of view of the camera. The only problem is that I have trouble focusing on the camera when it's this close to my face. If you're under 40, this may not affect you, and even if you're of the bifocal generation, it's not as big of a problem as it sounds. I found it comfortable to first switch the camera to the right mode, set the field of view before slapping it onto the Amorous's magnets. From there, you only need to be able to identify the big button to start and stop recording and to make sure your hands and the thing you're demoing stay in the field of view. I'm really happy with how well this works. I created a little demo using the Amorous of a nifty little USB-C charger that Pat Dingler gave me. The charger is called the Charge Retro 67 from Charge.com. This Charge Retro 67 looks like a tiny original Mac, and it's only 2 inches tall and 1.5 inches square. Because it's so adorable, I thought it might be good for sitting on a shelf. I didn't think it'd really be that useful, but it turns out it's become Steve and my favorite travel charger. I bought him one too. It'll supply 67 watts of power via 3 USB-C ports. When the charger's plugged in, with nothing plugged into it, the display on the little Mac shows green dots and dashes falling, just like in the Matrix. When you plug in any device to set it to charge, it will show you the power transfer level in amps. And it's only $39. This was a perfect object to explain using an over-the-shoulder video with the Amorous neck holder. Considering this was my first attempt, I think the video I created with it came out pretty well. I did let the charger go a little high at one point, so if I had it to do over again, I'd work on rotating the magnetic holder to a better position to keep it even more consistently in view. You can judge my work by looking at the video in the show notes. In the video, you'll hear me say the Charge 67 is $50 on Amazon, but $33 on Prime Day, which was true when I recorded the video, which is why the link in the show notes is direct to Charge for $39. When I described the materials of the Amorous's magnetic neck holder, I emphasized to you the soft texture of the loop around the neck and the chest piece's soft, spongy feel and how it's designed to be comfortable. I don't take any of that back, but this is not the lightest thing in the world to have around your neck. While the weight of the Amorous is only 8.7 ounces, if you add an iPhone 15 Pro to it, the total weight is just under a pound. It's 15.3 ounces. After wearing it for 10 to 15 minutes, I have to say it was a relief to take it off. The bottom line is that the Amorous hands-free magnetic chest mount solves the exact problem I needed it to solve. It's very well built, it's inexpensive at $23 on Amazon, and it's as comfortable as a device like this can be for the weight of the iPhone. If you need to make videos while using your hands to demonstrate anything, I can highly recommend this solution. Yay! Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
I think it's nifty.
The charger or the holder?
Well, the charger is really good. I mean, that's super useful. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's the only charger I'm going to bring to Africa.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I used it in San Diego last time. It was the only charger I used.
All right.
Well, you don't have your second charger because you lost it somewhere.
We need an extension cord type thing.
Oh, you want to bring one
Sometimes-
of the big gray ones?
Well, I don't
Maybe
know.
we bring one of those.
I don't know if that's 240. I have to check.
Add it to your to-do list that you haven't shared with me.
Yes.
All right. Okay, 23 minutes. We've got a longish one next. Copy
Oh,
link.
yeah. We may be a little late.
It's 5:40.
All right.
This
Think we
is
can do this?
supposed to be 9 minutes.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll time it.
Okay. You do that. All right. Here we go. We're rocking and rolling here. I may run out of water is one problem. That's all I have left. You feel like getting me more?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to drink the rest then. Start the time. No, this is my way of starting before the time while he's timing it and he's not here. Oh, I guess he's not coming right away. Do I start recording or wait for him to come in? Let me go look at the camera, see if he's, has he left the other room yet? Yeah, I can't tell if he's there. Maybe he's bringing me a glass. That's probably what he's doing. Yeah, what we're looking for is not a battery. We have batteries, but this is just for, something to plug into the wall. So I have a beautiful case made by Sandy for my battery. Thank you. All right. I'm doing this so you can't do the timer on me. Here we go.
Hey, Siri, start a stopwatch.
Could you hear that? Steve yelling, "Hey, S lady, start a stopwatch." All right, here we go. I've got a networking adventure to tell you about that has a very surprising ending. While the specifics of the story will be recounted purely for your entertainment, there are some steps along the way that might help you in diagnosing technical problems. Remember, we have 2 engineers with master's degrees in the house, so you should expect rigorous, controlled experiments to eliminate all variables. Now, some of the elements of this story were reported earlier in an article I wrote entitled Eero Mocha ONT, Not a Happy Networking Story. I'm not going to repeat all of that previous story, but parts of it must be interwoven for this story to make sense because this is an extension of that original story. Thank you, dear. What is that? That carrier. Oh, we're trying to figure out whether it could deliver 4 gigabytes of data to a location 60 miles away the fastest. Oh my gosh, that's epic. Post that in our delete me in our Slack. That's fabulous. Steve and I have embraced the smart home promise. We're on the HomeKit bandwagon, and our computers plus IoT products add up to just under 70 devices on our network. I figure NosillaCast ways we're all probably in that kind of range. Now, if you look at our device listing, you'd think that I'd employed a strategy of choosing as many different IoT vendors as humanly possible, but I promise I didn't do it on purpose. We've got switches from Wemo and iDevices and Meros. We've got lights from Hue and Elgato and Nanoleaf, door and window sensors and external cameras from Ring, internal cameras from Eufy, external cameras from Wyze, water sensors from Ring and Ambient. A lock from August, a smart pet feeder from Pet Libro, Daikin thermostats, smoke alarms by Google Nest, a smart sprinkler system from Rachio, a Tailwind garage door opener, and a weather station from Ambient. This entire mess is controlled by an Eero mesh network. Over the years, I've upgraded or added Eeros here and there, which left us with a bit of a mixture of versions of Eeros over time. Now, starting about maybe 6 months ago, things started to go wonky on our network. The canary in the coal mine throughout this entire story has been the Eufy cameras. We'd know things were going wrong when we'd get a notification that said, "Dining room Eufy camera has gone offline," followed shortly by another notification saying, "Dining room Eufy is back online." In the earliest days of our naivete about how complicated this problem would become, our solution would be to unplug the errant Eufy cam and plug it back in. As soon as we did this to the dining room Eufy, the living room Eufy would go offline. We chased the problem around the house and eventually it would stop happening, only to start up again a day or two later. At one point, we realized the way to solve the problem was just turn off those pesky notifications. Band-Aid successfully deployed. But then other things started to get weird. We use YouTube TV as our cord-cutting solution, but we hate the interface. I set up our Synology as a channel server a while ago, and that lets us use it as a DVR with a much nicer interface. We started noticing stuttering and jankiness of the video. Then the Tailwind garage door opener stopped responding to Siri. The August lock stopped opening when we got within range. No Band-Aid was going to help this solution. Our good friend Pat Dengler has a lot of experience working with Eero, and I called her to get advice. Her best piece of advice was to call Eero and ask them to help out. I thought, this is a crazy idea. Who calls the vendor? But I gave it a shot, and I actually got some pretty good help. When I got tech support on the phone, they scanned my network, and the tech helping me noted that I had our oldest and worst Eero set up as the gateway connected to our Fios, and the best one was downstairs in the dining room. The dining room was an Eero Pro 6E, while the other three were Eero 6 Pros. I remember I'd been uncertain whether it would work to put a new one in as the gateway, because with 70-ish devices, I did not want Steve to have to go back in and rename everything. The tech assured me we wouldn't have to go through any of that. They had me shut everything down, swap the 6E in as the gateway, wait for it to come up, and then bring the remaining Eeros back online. Things seemed stable and we were hopeful we'd solve the problem. Our joy was short-lived. This is a part of the story you may have heard before. I had a call with Bart and my video was hot garbage for him. While the Eeros were reporting they were getting the full 500 symmetric megabits per second that we were paying for, they were lying. At one point, I measured speeds of less than 3 megabits per second. As I explained in my previous article, we don't have wired Ethernet in our house, we have coax cable. So down at the Frontier Optical Network Terminal, the ONT, where our fiber comes in, there's a Mocha adapter that turns the Ethernet out of the ONT into coax. Then upstairs near the Gateway Eero, there's another Mocha adapter that converts it back to Ethernet. After many controlled experiments, Steve got the idea to unplug the Mocha adapter on the ONT end and plug it back in. Boom! Our network was back up to speed. This is where my previous article ended with joy that we had finally solved our network woes. Bless our little hearts. Well, a few days after I posted that article, the network went into the pooper yet again. While unplugging the Mocha adapter fixed the problem the second time, this was clearly not a sustainable solution. I called Frontier and I asked them to send a new Mocha adapter, but they said they had to send out a tech. I thought that was overkill because it's pretty easy for me to just plug in a new one, but they were hard over that this was the best path forward. I'm very glad they won the argument because the lovely Frontier tech not only replaced the recalcitrant Mocha adapter connected to the ONT, but he also replaced the one inside our house. And then for good measure, he replaced the ONT itself with a shiny new one. All right, yay, all was great in the Sheridan network. Till a few days later when the living room Eufy camera went offline again. Now back before we figured out that the Mocha adapter was misbehaving, I decided to throw money at the problem and drove over to Best Buy and I bought a 3-pack of Eero Pro 6Es. I didn't install them right away because we thought the Mocha adapter was going to solve all of our network ills. While we're still certain that the Mocha adapter was a problem, we clearly hadn't solved the original problem. Steve was also having a fight with the Hue carriage lights on the front of our house, and the switch in the living room wasn't working either. It was time to deploy the new Eero Pro 6Es. Adding to our one existing 6E, we could have maintained 4 total Eeros, but we thought perhaps adding one more Eero to the garage would fix all of our problems, so we kept the newest of the old Eeros. Now our final layout by then was 4 Eero Pro 6Es and the one older Eero Pro 6 in the main bedroom. We have a 2,800 square foot house, so 3 Eeros should have done the trick, but why not have 5? Well, things didn't get any better. While the carriage lights and the living room switch miraculously started working when we added the garage Eero, anarchy started moving from device to device. One of my favorite symptoms was that while my studio is right outside the room where the gateway Eero is, my devices insisted on connecting to the garage Eero. Now, it's not the dumbest choice, as my studio is also above the garage, but I was getting terrible speeds with the signal going through the garage ceiling. I talked to Pat again, and she told me she's convinced that having too many wireless routers actually starts to cause problems. I thought they should be designed to do all the handoffs gracefully, but at this point we were ready to try anything. We unplugged our beloved garage Eero, and things stabilized. But of course that joy was also short-lived, with the Eufy cams going off and online again. We plugged the garage Eero back in because we might as well have the carriage lights and living room switch working if something else was still wrong with the network. We decided to abandon our house, abandon this network, and take our kids on vacation to Hawaii. While we were gone, I went to check something on our network. I think it was the automated Pet Libro pet feeder, and to my surprise, I could not connect to it. I tried my Tailscale network, and I couldn't reach the Synology or the Mac Mini that are both always online. Our entire house was offline. I was pretty concerned about the cats not getting fed, but I hoped that the Pet Libro would still portion out their food at regular intervals, even without a network. I asked our cat sitter and their dad to check out our house and see if they could find anything obvious about the network. They confirmed that the Synology had blinky lights on it and that the cats were being fed, but they were not able to connect to our Wi-Fi. I knew we'd gone to the limit of their nerd skills, so I contacted our good buddy Ron and I asked him if he could go over and do some diagnostics. You've heard Ron on the show before. He's easily as nerdy as us, if not more so. By the way, Lindsay the daughter questioned why I cared so much whether my house network was up, but I do check a lot of things. I do like knowing my network is up. So, okay, fine, Lindsay. Maybe I should have just had another Mai Tai and not worried about it, but I wanted it fixed. Anyway, Ron goes over the house. He took one look at the Gateway Eero and he said, "It doesn't have any lights on it at all." Well, that might be the problem. So the Gateway Eero is plugged into the battery backup side of our CyberPower 1500 volt amp uninterruptible power supply, also known as UPS. Ron reported that the Synology was up with its blinky lights, and it was plugged into the same UPS also on the battery backup side. My only thought was to suggest Ron unplug the Eero from the UPS and plug it directly into the wall outlet. Now, I knew that we had just plugged our new color laser printer directly into the wall outlet, so I told him just to unplug that because I don't need to print while I'm gone, and plug the Eero directly into the wall outlet. To everyone's surprise, the Eero turned right back on and the network came back up. Ron was our hero. He went home and we went back to sipping our Mai Tais and going down the lazy river with our grandkids. After almost enough Mai Tais and lazy river rides and quite a few water slide trips, it was time to face the network music at home. When we arrived home, the network was technically up, but things were jankier than ever. Take a stop to save. Back to the pooper networks. Oh no, please don't. All right. Stopping to save. Our Ring alarm was on cellular backup rather than having picked up the Wi-Fi. Our motion detection hue lights would not turn off automatically. Those pesky front carriage lights from Hue were also not responding. Channels wasn't working at all on the Synology. I turned a critical eye towards our gigabit network switch because it's pretty much the only thing I hadn't looked at. The Hue lights go through a hub which is connected via that switch, as does the Ring alarm system. The Synology is also on that same switch. However, the lights looked okay on the switch, so I was pretty sure it wasn't the root cause. Now, all of these devices get their power through the UPS. The Ring and Hue hubs had power, as did the Synology. On closer inspection, though, we noticed that the display was blank on the UPS. Steve suggested pressing the reset button on the UPS, and that brought it back to life. The Ring alarm went back to using Wi-Fi instead of cellular, and all of the Hue lights started responding again. I still think it's very weird that that fixed it, because they did have power. Anyway, we plugged the Eero back into the battery backup side of the UPS. We also plugged our new laser printer into the UPS for the first time, but the UPS started screaming at us, so we plugged it directly into the wall again. Even though we had things working again, we weren't sure what had caused the Eero to shut down in the first place. Pat was highly suspicious of the UPS at this point, but we weren't sure. It's only 6 years old, and we had replaced the UPS battery only 2 years ago. It's also frustrating to deal with this because we have a whole home battery system, so we essentially have our entire house on a surge protector battery anyway, but it seems like another belt and suspenders to have a UPS. Now, we thought we finally had everything working properly, but then the Eufy cameras started going off and online again. Yes, we did consider throwing them all in the bin. But again, remember, they're just the leading indicator. And that's when we came to the final solution. Or, as of right now, we think it's the final solution. I hate to say final because, I've thought that before. Steve noticed that the older Eero Pro 6 in our main bedroom had a blinking amber light. Now, we thought we'd seen every light combo before on the Eeros, but this was a new one. I looked it up and it means, quote, unapproved USB-C power source used, unquote. I looked closely at the power brick and it clearly said Eero on it, so it was an approved USB-C power source. However, the connection point of the cable into the power brick had a crack in it. I went to Amazon, bought a replacement 27-watt official Eero power brick for $30, and I replaced the plug. The blinking amber lights went away. And guess what? It's been over 3 weeks since we replaced the power supply on the Eero Pro 6, and not once has a Eufy cam gone offline or a Hue light refused to react correctly. Sorry. Batteries are 2 years old, Mike. Okay. And guess what? Interesting. And guess what? It's been over 3 weeks since we replaced the power supply in the Eero Pro 6, and not once has a Eufy cam gone offline or a Hue light refused to react correctly. The Tailwind garage door is even opening with Siri 100% of the time. This is by far the longest time in 6 months that we've gone without that canary singing in the coal mine, or dying in the coal mine, I should say. All right, but what about that UPS? Now that the network is stable, or at least we think it is, it's time to talk about that pesky UPS. Quite a while ago, we had a power outage, and I remember that same UPS didn't fail over to the battery. I forget why I didn't address it back then, but this week we did a controlled experiment on it. The display said it was providing power and had 5 full bars of battery. I gracefully shut down the Synology first, and then I yanked the UPS power cable from the wall. It screeched at us and showed us error 21 and fault on the display, and all devices connected to it powered down. Steve did a bit of research on the UPS and found out that error 21 could be a bad battery or could be a bad motherboard. But he also found a really interesting note. It said, never plug a laser printer into a UPS. Well, that would have been a good information bit a long time ago to have noticed that. I don't think we blew out the motherboard of the UPS when we briefly plugged in the new laser printer because it had failed us on vacation before we did that. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't working correctly for a long time before this. I gotta say though, we did have a previous laser printer that could have caused the original problem. I don't actually know. I don't remember. Anyway, Steve looked up the specs on our new laser printer and the UPS. The laser printer draws 960 watts peak. The UPS is rated for 900 watts. Well, a new CyberPower CP1500 AV RLCD3 UPS was delivered today to the house. We haven't plugged it in yet. The bottom line is there were many failures. The bottom line is there were a great many failures to track down on this. We definitely had dodgy Mocha adapters. The UPS was no longer capable of doing the one job we hired it to do. Today I learned that you can't run a laser printer off a UPS either. But to me, the most interesting root cause was the dodgy power supply on the Eero. I don't know how the mesh software works exactly, but I suspect it might have been constantly readjusting which devices went on which routers. The Eufy cams never could have connected to this particular Eero, or never should have, I should say, because it's the farthest one away from them. But if all the other devices were getting shuffled and going back and forth on and offline, I could see maybe that was a problem. Somebody who read my article about this suggested that perhaps the Eufy had enough power to broadcast the SSID, but nothing else. It couldn't actually send it any kind of Wi-Fi signal, so maybe they were connecting to it and not actually getting Wi-Fi. We'll never know, but I'm pretty darn certain that it was the power supply on the Eufy that caused the original problem.
Yeah, and I think for a while it was intermittent. It wasn't a solid failure because that orange light first showed up when we got back from vacation, but it was behaving oddly well before that light turned amber. And I think it was intermittently going off and on, and that could have been causing a lot of shifting around the network. And that's a lot of, bandwidth in itself, having to redistribute.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Oh, I didn't write a support the show. I'm going to wing it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that'll go well. By the way, how many minutes was that, Steve? Was it 9 minutes?
17.
Was not 17.
Well, I'm at 17 now, so maybe it's been a minute less. 16.
So, according to the recording, it was 8 minutes.
Yeah, there's, I guess, starting and stopping.
Not 10 minutes worth. It went from 16:57 to 23:18. That's just like 7 minutes, right? Not even 7. 18. That's 5 minutes. That's not right.
What are your
Oh,
numbers
it's 20.
again?
I'm sorry. It's 23 to 38. What's that?
That's 15.
Yeah, it's 15 minutes. Wow, that was supposed to be 9 minutes to read. I need to check some stuff. 9 minutes.
What are you using to check the time that a blog post should take to read?
Bear. It tells me how long it should take.
How does it know how fast you talk?
It doesn't.
Can you calibrate it? Can you
Well, that's what
adjust
I'm
it?
writing a note about. I didn't think it was off by that much. But that's good. I wanted to assume low. I don't want to get done with the show and go, oops, it's 30 minutes long. All right, here we go. Hey, would you like to really help out the show? You know what you could do? You could go to podfeed.com/Patreon and become a patron of the Podfeed podcast. Every week you get this show without fail, even when I'm not here. Wonderful people like Jill and Alistair and Bart pick up the slack for me when I'm gone. You never miss an episode. That's got to be worth something. You learned about this networking thing. You just learned about that. How cool is that? You learned about that thing I put around my neck to make videos. You learn stuff every time. If nothing else, you actually are entertained. So consider becoming a patron of the Podfeed podcast. Marty! Oh, Bruce, now I can see your face. Yes, I remember you. Drunk Nick Nolte was late. He actually introduced himself as Drunk Nick Nolte at MacStock. I believe he's Dr. Drunk Nick Nolte, right?
Yeah.
All right. Wait till you hear how bad Bart's audio sounds.
Oh, boy.
I don't think PDX Kurt isn't in here, but oh wait, let me play a beep for Steve. Here you go. Blink. There, did you hear it?
Yeah, that was a big one.
Oh. So, I don't know if you guys would remember this, but Bart had some weird like Cylon stuff happening with his microphone, and then cutting in and out, and so he replaced the cable, and it turns out, well, he may have had a bad cable, but he also has a bad microphone. So his microphone, when he recorded Let's Talk Apple as a solo show, and he does these kind of off the cuff, he's got notes, but he's not reading, he's talking, it was cutting in and out. So he was missing big chunks of his recording.
Could he hear it as it happened?
No, because he doesn't monitor his voice. He uses wireless
That'll do
headphones. So, yeah. He says
He
it
doesn't
drives him
like-
crazy
he
to hear
doesn't
his
like
own
the delay.
voice. Yeah, and I get that, but there's ways around it. I've got an idea that I might be able to convince him to give it a try, so we'll see. North Wisconsin Neverland. Oh, you're where Jill is. All right. Yeah, check where your laser printer's plugged in. Good. All right, let's hear how this break sounds. Oh, wait. Chapter mark, before I forget. The most important one. Actually, if you don't catch any of them, just catch that one. Make sure I do it. Okay, here we go. Feed podcasts. Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Booth Shots. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Bart.
Good afternoon.
Hey, it sounds like, are you on a new microphone?
Well, there is a new microphone on its way to me, but it's currently a few hundred miles away, so it's not picking me up very well just yet. Uh, after after us having a lot of audio issues, maybe at least half of them are down to the fact that my very trusty mic, which you actually bought for me now I think about it, may finally be at the end of its tether because I had to redo my off the cuff Let's Talk Apple in about six different small recordings, which was a disaster. I uttered the immortal words, "I'll quickly go record my podcast, dear," and then was not
Oops.
seen for 3 hours.
And so what exactly happened?
It just starts to randomly. First, it makes me sound like a Cylon, and then it just goes silent.
So you had replaced
And
the
then,
cable because we thought that was what was wrong, but you think maybe the mic
yeah.
itself was failing.
Well, now that we have a shiny, very brand new cable, yeah, I do.
Or maybe both.
Because it's possible both were broke. At this stage, I know for a fact that there has been some software weirdness. I know for a fact the cable was bad. And I now also think the mic was bad. So I think maybe we had three problems, which is why nothing ever reproduced itself.
Yeah.
Because whatever we did, there was never any consistency. It was just, oh, Bart's audio is weird again,
Yeah, yeah.
which was
So we're
delightful.
hearing you through your AirPods Max, and it's causing an interesting effect. There is a, yeah, there we go. You can understand him, so that's good, right? Nope, it works. Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly what you're looking for. He said, I feel like I'm a noob, on using the wrong microphone. All right,
He
let
has
me do
one mic.
Yeah.
That we have how many mics in this house?
Yeah, seven of them.
But you have an obsession with mics, maybe.
Yeah, swimming them. Yeah.
He doesn't travel or do anything with mics. He just uses
No.
it there. All right.
Yeah. So Drunk Nick Nolte saying it sounds like an embedded laptop mic. Now it actually sounds way better than that. We did try was the mic on his studio display. So he's got a Mac Studio and a studio display, and it was horrible. I mean, it was nothing nearly as good as this. Like no contest. I was just like, nope. The minute he did it. So
he's using. Did you say AirPods?
AirPods Max. Yeah. Yeah, it's not really room echo, Marty. It's just tin can soundy. It might be getting mutated by the time it gets to you. Then the echo's coming from his head. All right. Let's see. He's ordered a new mic. He's ordered a Rode Podcaster, so I think that's going to be lovely. And a new boom arm. I sent him a boom arm because he had trouble with his, and he broke it on the first day. He tightened it too much and snapped it, so he bought another one. All right, here we go. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Did you know you can email me those reviews for Bart and Alistair and Jill? You can email them to me at allison@podfeed.com. If you have a question or a suggestion, though, just send it on over. I will be checking emails while I'm gone. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeed. No. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You can follow me on Mastodon at podfeed.com/Mastodon. Heck, maybe I'll post pictures of, elephants or tigers or something. I don't know, whatever animals I see. That's probably where I'll be posting them. If you want to listen to the podcast on YouTube, you can go to podfeed.com/YouTube. If you want to join in the conversation, you can join our Slack community at podfeed.com/Slack, where you can talk to me and all of the other lovely NosillaCastaways. You can support the show by going to podfeed.com/Patreon or with a one-time donation at podfeed.com/PayPal. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, you're going to have to wait until September 8th to join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening, and stay subscribed. Oh, John, too soon. That was rude. Look what he wrote, Steve. Can we follow Steve on Twitter?
Maybe I should just use this as an opportunity to abandon Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst idea. What was funny was he wasn't really that upset.
Twitter
Are there
is
tigers in Africa?
It's gotten so.
There's no tigers in
Weird.
Africa? Really? Seriously? There's got to be tigers in Africa. Oh, that's funny. Oh, well. And stay subscribed.
Yeah, I think it's India and maybe South America?
Okay, I'm going to add a little tidbit at the end, only for people who listen past the end. We saw tigers in India. Well, one. Wait, the live chat room's telling me there's no tigers in Africa. It'll just be for anybody who makes it to the end. Twitter makes me angry every time I log in. Yeah, I go in, spam the show, and I get out. I've got a keystroke that opens up a private a separate profile that I call Meta, and it's got all the social media things. And I open each one of them, I spam it, and then I close that window. Export the show. Save. There we go. Your Twitter's delightful? Huh. Oh, that's an HEIC. It didn't render. How do you look at it? Oh man, it downloaded a file. What are you doing to me? Jeez. What kind of noob are you, John? Give us a JPEG. That was terrible. I don't even know.
He wants us to go through the work.
I guess so. Oh yeah, chapter mark count.
All right.
1, 2. Six. I have 6. All right. I think.
Well, we held them a little bit late, but
should we let them go?
This
So
is the
last
last
time
show
for-
for a while. So
How many weeks is that? I'm going to make you wait.
5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 weeks. But like I said, you guys can come in here anytime you like. You can come see each other. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a good one. We just rewatched that. Very good. Okay, John, are you going to give us that picture? Because we're leaving.
Well, we could give it to him.
Oh, it's a picture of a giant crocodile. That's
Yeah.
nice. All right. I'm going to hang up. Goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye.
See you later.
Oh, I guess I need to end the stream.